Thank you so much for coming back here again today and meeting me to talk about metabolic function and how directly touching the earth impacts our metabolic function. I hope yesterday that you had a really good time grounding. I hope you slept grounded, and I hope you were able to find some time in the day where you had an emotional need or a powerful feeling that you were able to ground during and really feel the change, the shift, and the improvement and the effect and the support of the earth during that emotional time. So if not, if you weren't able to do that yesterday, if nothing came up, keep that in the back of your mind for the future and definitely utilize that. And I hope that you'll feel an immediate shift and be really convinced more than ever the direct impact that grounding can have, not only on your body, but on your emotional state. Today we're going to talk about how it really directly impacts your metabolic function, which means it impacts how you process and use food. It impacts your weight. It impacts everything from your heart rate to your respiratory rate to your oxygenation of your blood. And it really just impacts your basal metabolic function. So just at rest, how your body operates is impacted positively by grounding. So let's just dive in. The first study had 28 participants, so 28 patients were assessed for their basal metabolic rate. They were looking at, does grounding have an immediate effect? And I'm talking immediate because they only grounded these patients for 40 minutes. So we're not talking about, a couple months, which my study went for 2.5 months. We're just talking about immediately, does it affect your body? Is it helping your body function better? The answer is yes. They had 28 patients. Half were grounded, all thought they were grounded, but it was a double-blind study and only half were actually grounded and half were placebo grounded or sham grounded. And in 40 minutes, they measured different metabolic indicators such as respiratory rate, such as heart rate, and such as blood oxygenation. And in every single case, the grounded subjects, well, first of all, immediately their skin conductance and their electrical activity shifted, as we've already talked about. And only in the grounded patients and not in the ungrounded patients was there an average slight mild increase, elevation in heart rate, increase in respiratory rate, and increase in stabilization of blood oxygenation, and not in the ungrounded. And then when they stopped grounding, there was a persistent residual metabolic effect of increased heart and respiratory rate, but immediately the electrical activity, the skin conductance, and the other markers of electrical activity were decreased and removed. So it's while you're grounded during those times, your body is shifting into this healing state, this increased metabolic state. Think about what that means. Your respiratory rate is going up. You're actually getting more oxygen into the blood that we talked about yesterday. So as the blood is improved its flow and delivery, it's carrying richer oxygen. And why? Why is this metabolic rate increasing? Because now you are in the phase of active healing. You are delivering oxygen, antioxidants, and nutritional support to all the tissues in your body on top of the direct electrical support, like we talked about with the connective tissue, the direct electrical grounding of pockets of inflammation or chronic areas of smoldering inflammation that might be bothering your body. Now those areas are neutralized. On top of that, your circulation is delivering oxygen-rich blood to increase the healing rate of all of the tissues in your body. And what is that doing to your metabolism? I wanted to go further than just looking at an immediate increase in your metabolic rate. I wanted to look at long-term, because my hypothesis was if we're boosting our metabolism instantly by touching the earth, we should see over time change in weight. So I enrolled a dozen patients and I followed them for 10 weeks straight, and we looked at weight, we looked at energy, mood, sleep, pain, lots of different parameters, but mostly the goal was I want to follow and have weekly weigh-ins and measure change in weight over time. And the instructions were to just touch the earth for 15 minutes a day, and that is it. So I told them, do not change your diet at all. I want you to eat everything you've ate before in the same quantities and in the same fashion. I don't want you to think about changing your diet, and I don't want you to introduce new activities. I don't want to change your activity level at all. I just want to see resting metabolic change from short periods of daily earthing over time. So following these patients with weekly weigh-ins and weekly assessments, the results were very, very interesting. So at first glance, it was very positive. 60% of the patients lost weight, and they lost a significant amount of weight, not half a pound. They lost between 4 and 15 pounds in 10 weeks doing nothing else than earthing for 15 minutes a day. So just a couple minutes daily with no change to diet and no change to exercise. made the majority of patients lose weight. So that in and of itself was priceless. But I wanted, I was a little restless because why the 40% that didn't have a weight change? Because I know metabolic function is changed. I know that their baseline metabolic rate has improved. Just from the 15 minutes, I know that. So why, I sat down with those patients and why did they not have weight changes? Well, what it turns out was really remarkable, and I value the results of this part even more than just the weight loss part. And that is, this showed the intuitive power of the earth and of grounding, because it turns out that the 60% of patients that lost weight, every single patient that lost weight did not have a chronic health issue going on. They were just, a little bit overweight, and only change they made was to start touching the earth for 15 minutes. And they didn't have any pain issues. They didn't have any other chronic health issues. They were very healthy. They just wanted to lose a little weight, so they enrolled in this study. Okay, so all of them lost weight. So to me, it was actually 100% success in weight loss when you don't have something else actively going on. Turns out that 40% of patients that were not effortlessly, automatically losing weight were having other active issues resolve. So there was someone who had carpal tunnel syndrome who was going to go have surgery, who was able to cancel surgery because her pain had decreased so much in just that 10-week period. There were patients who had low back pain and neck pain. Those were the two most active issues. There were other chronic issues going on, but for the 40% of patients that didn't see change in weight, it was 100% across the board that they had other improvements in acute issues. So what it really turned out is that anyone with an acute issue had resolution, and earthing, the grounding, was going towards working. That increased metabolic rate that we were talking about was speeding healing. Patients that did not require acute healing for an acute issue were having the baseline metabolic change affect weight. So it was actually 100% success results when you looked further and delved into why are some patients losing, the majority of patients losing weight with doing nothing else but earthing, and then why are some having no change in their weight? Where is that extra metabolic effort going? And it turns out that grounding your body triages you perfectly. And so it's like the healing flow from the earth knows what's best for you, probably better than we know, because it's going in to neutralize. It's basically looking at you and saying, how can we ensure this person's survival the best? What's going on with this person? Are there cancer cells going on? Is there inflammation? Is there brain change? Is there atrophy in the brain? Is there other age-related changes? Is there inflammation in the joints? Is there a sleep issue? Is there adrenal fatigue at this point? What's going on with this person that's keeping them from being in the pure positive state of well-being? Whatever's going on, that's what I'm going to go neutralize. When there is nothing active to neutralize, I am just going to maintain the healthiest possible status for this human being possible, and I'm going to work at effectively increasing their oxygenation and their circulation and their energy level and boost mood and all the things that we talked about specifically when we looked at the smaller studies on a organ-to-organ basis. We're going to go to that and have the whole organism running more smoothly, and that over time is going to put them at their ideal weight, because now we're boosting metabolism. There's no chronic health issue going on, so now we're going to reset them at the best, healthiest weight for them. And so I started thinking about the amazing results from this study and how encouraged I was by it and how wonderful it was to really see these powerful results. And I started realizing that this is what's going on with the majority of patients that come to me. I'm an intuition physician, so I do tend to get more holistic minded patients coming to me for support. And a lot of them are really healthy. They eat the best they can eat. They meditate all day long. They do yoga morning and night, and they have raw juicing, and they sleep well, and they take all kinds of supplements. I'll go through their supplement list, and they're on them all. I can't even suggest another one because they've got a great profile going on. And they should be feeling, it should be impossible for a human being who's breathing that well, who's eating that well, who's hydrating that well, who's sleeping that well, and who's getting the nutritional building blocks in. It should be impossible for them to even feel bad in any way, and yet they still do. There's something missing. There's cravings going on, or there's weight that they cannot seem to drop, or they have this feeling of something missing. And what it turns out is that earthing and grounding and docking yourself to the earth is that missing piece. So what I found is when patients have a very healthy profile lifestyle and they're on all the right things and they're treating their body very, very well and with respect, and they still have either a weight challenge or something else going on, chronic pain issue, usually those patients are empaths, which means they're taking in energy. They're very open. A lot of times they're healers themselves. They're wellness life coaches, or they're acupuncturists, or they are energy healers, or they even work in traditional healing fields like I do. And they really know a lot about healthcare and a lot about the health of the body. And so they're doing, on the checklist, they're doing everything right. But one missing piece is enough to throw everything off, because when it's big enough and when it's earthing, because that's not something that yet in standard medicine we talk about very much. So you can go through your checklist and still be missing that crucial piece. And so what's happening if you're an empath is you are absorbing energy and connecting and feeling other people's energy, and your body is becoming the dead end for that energy, and it's stressful, and so you gain weight. And your body is basically using weight as a way to try and ground. It's increasing in mass to try and neutralize and ground the energy that you're taking in when you're healing or working with or connecting to your loved ones, to family members, to coworkers, to patients, to clients. When you're in your zone of being very open and reaching out and being helpful, you are taking on energy constantly. Our body is really trying its best to help us, actually, by gaining weight to try and offset that energetic burden. So I tell patients who have weight problems and chronic pain issues, your body is doing the best it can. It's actually trying to neutralize things for you. It's trying to ground itself. In the old days, all the time, energy healers would be huge, huge women that were using weight and using adipose tissue to kind of electrically ground and neutralize the body. But that's not the healthiest way to be, and we really don't want to be the dead end. We don't want to go in with the intention that I'm going to take disease or pain from you, from my loved ones, whatever. I'm going to take it and just carry it on my body. That, again, is not really helping anyone, because now it's harming me as well. What we want to do is be that neutral, grounded vessel so that we can be feeling our best, so that we can help others the best. So to do that, we have to reintroduce this missing piece of grounding. And as my study showed, it only took a few minutes a day to make significant change in the physical body. In just 10 weeks, some people lost up to 15 pounds with no change in diet or activity. And that's because all the energy they were taking in from all the people they care about every single day, they were able to discharge it. Their body became a vessel. Their body was no longer attaching to physical size in order to try and ground the soul energy of the person, living it. When you can directly ground with the earth, your body doesn't need to ground itself. It can then become the vessel, the avenue for expression, the avenue for health and well-being, and this vibrant platform from which to express your soul energy and have these connections that you want to have as an empath. So really, directly grounding to the earth takes the pressure off of your body. And I think that is really what's impressive about grounding. So we can talk about, and we have talked about, a lot of the just different cellular, and biochemical changes that go on in each organ system. But if you take a step back and look at what earthing does to support your body as a whole, how it really can come in and support what you need most. If you have a chronic pain issue going on, we're going to neutralize that so you feel better soon. If you're not sleeping well or you have adrenal fatigue, we're going to come in and support that so that you feel better. And once we get all of your active inflammatory issues under control, then we're going to work at your basal metabolic rate and have you at your ideal best, set point of well-being, whatever weight that is for you, so that you're not taking in things and becoming this dead end for all this stress and then having something go wrong with your body, or having to increase your volume and mass in order to compensate for all of this energy coming in. Instead, you're going to be this wonderful balanced vessel that connects to the earth and allows that symbiotic relationship with the earth to neutralize and release all of the stress and pressure that's coming in. And instead of your body being the grounding mechanism for your soul, we'll let the earth be the grounding mechanism and let your body be the vessel and connection between the two. So we learned today that grounding profoundly affects weight over time, and it particularly affects and heals empaths and others who are open energetically, and other healers. And especially if you feel like you have every other piece of the puzzle going on and you're doing everything else you can to support your health, and still there's not that change, still there's not that relief, then grounding, I think, is going to help you the most. If you are an empath and you want to learn more, immediately following this class, I teach an Expand Your Intuition class, and it's targeted for empaths, because for an entire month, I teach you how to connect with your own energy, to increase your own intuition, and how to connect with others and not use your body as the end game and not use your body as the punching bag, but to allow it to off-gas. Grounding's part of it, and you'll already be an expert in that. But there's a lot of other things you can do too to be the vessel so that you stay healthy instead of the end point and feeling really stressed out and wounded by all the energy going on around you. So if you're an empath and you want more support for that specific angle, please join my Expand Your Intuition class that's coming up immediately following this class. I'll put a link for you below if you want to check out more information about it. I'm also going to put a link to a study that I didn't have time to talk about today, which goes into the bioelectrical process of your body and how that's immediately impacted with grounding. I feel like that fits in today because it has ramifications on a metabolic level. So I'm going to put a link to that PDF if you want to read that. And then let's get to your assignment today. Again, just like every other day of this course, I want you to try and do that 15-20 minutes outside. That's all my patients did in that 10-week weight loss study, and it works. So just the 10, 15, 20 minutes outside that you've been doing, continue to do that. But I also want to give you the additional challenge indoors of trying to be grounded while you're eating. Drink a glass of water before every meal, and then sit down and eat intentionally and mindfully and with your grounding product. So with your wristband, or if you have a mat, wrap that around you. Or if you have a hot water bottle, put that on your abdomen and then eat. And see, does that change your cravings? Does that satiate you on a different level? Does that allow you to actually enjoy the moment and enjoy the food more? Just see, play with it. See what it's like to actually eat while you're grounded. You could even, ideally, take your food outside and have a picnic today. That would be ideal. And also, as a bonus, I'm going to include a couple other tips for weight loss, just since we're talking about metabolism today. So if you want, check out my article below. It's got a couple supplement suggestions and other things that you can do to really optimize your metabolic function and help you, in addition to grounding, kind of target your ideal body weight. All right, so enjoy all those different links and information. Get in some grounding time and get in some time where you're actually eating grounded today. And then meet me back here tomorrow. We're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about how does grounding impact everything from your thyroid to your adrenal function. It impacts it in a big way. So come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about how grounding impacts your hormones. That's another angle where it's not just looking at one little specific organ system, it's impacting how you feel as a whole functioning organism. So it's not just talking about one organ, but it's talking about the interplay. That's what hormones are. They're messengers between systems telling your whole body how to function. Sort of like metabolism, but it's a chemical messenger, a hormonal messenger. Instead of a basal metabolic function rate, it's the signaling that your body uses. So that's very interesting, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Enjoy all the links and the information today. I hope you enjoy grounding while you eat today. That's interesting. And if you have questions, email them to me. We're going to have that Q&A phone call, and I'm going to answer every single email and every single question I get asked all week long. And so I want you to use this week to experiment, and when thoughts or comments or questions come up, I want you to be emailing them to me because I'm going to answer every single one of them directly in our call. So don't forget to email me if you haven't yet. If you have any questions swimming around up here, I'd love to address them for you. All right, and I'll see you again tomorrow.